shake your dreams from your hair. I'm already there, right beside you. So please, don't hide your safe. I'll be there if it breaks, right beside you. Suddenly I know now how it feels. I no longer have to beg or steal. I can stand now on this higher ground, where love is just a sound.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday. Crystal from Gecko Diva here, and welcome to Cresties. I have my nice cup of tea this morning. It's been a busy 24 hours. My daughter turned 13 yesterday, so she had some friends for a little bit of a birthday celebration, and I was cooking dinner for her special pierogi dinner that she wanted, and we had some cakes, and hers actually makes for her. So she's really into like the and ended up she wanted like a kind of like more of a dark cake style. I'll post one on my story later because it's a lot of fun. So our friend ended up making 2 cakes for her, and the first one was like a stab cake. Yes, the cake is like white icing, and then she made uh, out of so it looks like there's glass, like kind of like a fake, and then you can grab a knife and you stab the middle of it, and there ends up being blood, so it's one of those blood cakes, which was kind of neat. So I took a little video of it when stab moment, which was a lot of fun. And then her other cake ended up being like a solid black cake, which was really cool. Like, even it's a chocolate solid black in the inside too. So the whole, and then they're there cake and their tongues are, her mouth is black. It was really comical. It was a good time. But we're wondering what the having the classic pillow and having a great time year old. So it was definitely last night watching movies and letting her do her thing. Morning I've asked them to internet. So Wi-Fi kind of every once in a while. So I apologize if I freeze once in a while. It is probably because the rules aren't being as they're being left to their own upstairs, and might be on their phone or something and watching stuff because they're bored, and hour without music playing. So let's see who we morning have a chat from Highlight Morning. Thanks for joining. Jen House this morning. Good morning. Uniquely Mutated Morphs. Good morning. Thanks for joining us. Cassandra's in the house. Good morning. And KD Gecko. Good morning. Got quite a few of you early risers this Sunday. Larson's in the house from Geckomorphic. Good morning. Uniquely says, waiting on my first set of fertile patch. That's awesome. Always exciting when it's the first, and fun experience. It doesn't it's fun every single time. For me, it doesn't go away. So I'm like there, and you're always peeking. I have my incubator set up, and it's right by the desk. So it's like literally right down here. And I'll sit here and like every day, daily, you're there checking, and you're just looking through the little window, right, and seeing is it coming yet? And I'm to the point now where I have a pretty good idea of how long it takes for them to hatch with the temp that I have my incubator set up. So I'll put like the day that they've laid, and then I'll put the estimated day that they should hatch. So then I'll have sticky notes on the wall here, like the dates of when I really should be checking to see when they're going to be hatching. And I find it gets a little bit easier as you move along, like keep track of that. Then you can kind of take a break when you know, okay, like they're not going to hatch for the next 3-4 weeks. We're good. Jen said, "Oh, she said happy birthday. I will let her know because I doubt she's watching this, but I will let her know afterwards." Oh, and your birthday was yesterday, so happy birthday, belated birthday. Oh, yeah, another happy birthday. My oldest turned 13 on the 5th. Yeah, it's crazy to see them get to these age. So our son turned 18 this year. Right now, and he's working and he's graduating high school this year and getting ready for university. So it's definitely a transition to see, you remember when they're so little and they're like little baby. Oh my goodness, you're 18, you're 13 going on 18. Girls tend to have a little bit of a different attitude and quicker. But yeah, it's definitely different, the girls between the boys when you're raising them, that's for sure. And good morning, Celtic. Nice to see you. The good geckos in the house. Good morning. And we have Highland geckos in the house. Good morning. And my husband. So he's on the way to the gym again. I'm a little jealous. He gets to do the Sunday gym and I got to fit it in later this afternoon. If you were here last week or watched last week's episode, I was really sick and I was sick for like over 2 weeks. And I'm just finally getting back where I'm coughing a little bit on and off, mainly when I'm talking. So it doesn't help when I'm doing this. But now I've gotten to the point where I could start going back to the gym now, and I'm not going to sound like I'm this, you know, wizard walking around the gym where people are going to be worried that they're all going to be catching something. So I've passed that worry phase that I can actually start doing things I was doing before. Um, it got really warm here, like almost t-shirt side, and we thought all the snow melted. Wild because we had a lot of snow. And then the last 2 days, again, the temps just dropped and it's super cold. In my back, I have a little like right there, a little space heater that I've been running the last couple days because they've gotten to the temp I get a nice temperature. They should start laying soon. And with didn't want it to get cold in here, but then it just died on me last night. So it looks like I might have to get a little heater. Yeah, because it's cold and we actually got snow again yesterday. Very, very minimal snow, but and I don't think it's gonna stick around. But it's the inconsistent weather that's a challenge where it gets really warm and then it gets really cold and you just stabilize at some point. Um Yeah, so I hope you doing great. I'm excited for today's chat. We have a wonderful guest today that we're going to be chatting about some cool gecko projects and some cool art as well. Lots of fun things. I don't have a tea time for today, but before we start, I'm going our epic promo. Again, I'm I, meets and it's going to be an awesome event and I definitely highly recommend that you check it out and register and just power. So the more learn and the more people you can connect with and whether you're watching the live one and then or coming back and watching the other videos on replay, um there's only benefits I see from it. There's only good stuff. It's same with having these podcasts and other whether it's a live show or pre-recorded or they're doing YouTube or stuff that we can share with everyone. The better. Celtic, I saw you just popped up and said glitchy, and I do apologize for. Unfortunately, my husband's at the gym and can't go and see if the girls are doing things online. I've asked them not to. Uh, I'm on here with you, so I can't just escape and go and do anything about that. But I do apologize for that, guys. We will power through and do the best that we can. And let me just video.
It's called EPIC, the Exotic Pet Industry Conference, and it's free to register at epic.live. EPIC is over 20 special guests across 16 sessions covering industry trends, marketing, branding, podcasting, and YouTube. EPIC is for pet keepers and breeders. It's for gecko and invert lovers. It's for snake and spider lovers. EPIC is for anyone who enjoys these amazing animals. Did I mention it's free? Register now at epic.live.
I'm texting right now. She is listening, and if she that I could tell her to get off the internet. So, and again, I apologize if I'm glitching, everyone. What we're gonna do is we're gonna bring on our guest, Holly, and we're gonna have a fun little chat. Let's pop into it. Good morning, Holly. How are
Good
you?
morning. I'm doing okay. Like I'm
Yeah.
tired, but that's pretty standard. So
It's bound to happen to be
yeah.
tired if it's Sunday morning at 9 when I come on. Because that's the same time. It's not like it's any earlier or anything, right?
No, it's just 9 o'clock, but it's still 9 o'clock. So
A lot of us would rather be in bed. Let's be honest.
yeah, like for sure.
I'm watching this in bed, which is, probably nice and cozy.
Yeah.
I'm sure you heard that I was glitching. I sent a little text to my daughter and I was like, get off the internet. And it kind of got popped up again. So we'll see how it goes. The good news is that people listen to you and talk about you, not as much to, so you're watching, so it should
Okay, like
perfect.
hopefully I'm not.
No, it'll be fun. Oh, and quick thing. It says, got a question, what does everyone drink? And I have to say, for I was drinking, I have a and I would do like just my Nespresso, just like a dark roast, and creamer that I'll put in it. Since I've been and trying to get more kind of reduce my sugar, drinking tea. So tea, and it's the green tea kombucha. It has like a passion fruit in it. I have these fun little messages on the screen. Is find your unity in your service to all. Inspirational messages on every tea bag.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I guess I'll ask you the same question. What brand do you drink coffee? And if so, what do you drink?
And I love coffee. And I typically get like whatever is on sale. Because I make my own. And I make iced coffee. Like I have a Mr. Coffee, like little iced coffee maker. I started drinking iced coffee when my little boy was a baby. It seemed like whenever I made coffee, when I made hot coffee, it would always end up getting like room temperature. And I'm
Okay.
like, I don't want to waste it. So I would just put ice in it. And I ended up having just iced coffee, even though I intended to make hot coffee. And so now I just make iced coffee on purpose.
Okay.
This morning I had it's Starbucks coconut mocha.
Oh, that
And
sounds
I
delicious.
wasn't sure how it was going to go. Like, I was skeptical, but it's actually pretty good. And I was happy about that.
A couple people have posting what they're drinking. So, H. Tim Hortons, of course. Um, Soon I'll get some Timmy. My husband gets Timmy's every single day. Celtics their coffee joined us. So good morning, Nespresso, caramel with Via. Awesome. And thanks for joining Gecko Cove. And one of my favorite coffees is Island Roasters. Yeah, I don't get me wrong, and I'll get it. Like I like chai, another one that's I'm a big fan of, especially like iced chais. I'm an old school on coffee. It's Folgers. Folgers in your cup. They always have fun commercials. Awesome. So why don't we everyone would like to first of all located and you how did you join this crazy people who love wonderful reptiles and cresties?
And so it seems very, very appropriate. I often say I can't believe that this is my life, but then I think about things that I'm like, okay, never mind that. That makes sense. I started out with green anoles when I was little, and I always loved snakes. I was raised by my grandma, and she's like, no. But I could have like the little anoles, and so I did. And I remember being in middle school, and we had one pet shop. I grew up on like the west coast of Michigan that was very, very small. And we had one pet shop in Ludington. So you had to drive like a half hour to get there. And they had geckos, but they didn't have crested geckos. They had day geckos and leopard geckos. And I did not get one in middle school, but I wanted one. It was like on my checklist. And then when the pandemic happened and I had my little boy, I'm like, this is like the perfect time uh, to possibly get like a reptile that we could enjoy together and take care of together, like a bonding thing. And so we started watching all of these different videos on YouTube about care and things like that. And Clint's Reptiles is who I watched. And just absolutely, I love his videos. Like, I still watch videos whenever he comes out with one. And he had the video that was like crested geckos versus leopard geckos. And I'm like,
Okay.
I remember leopard geckos, but I did not know what a crested gecko was. And I found out that cresties don't grow their tail back. And immediately, like, that stuck with me because I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. It's a connective tissue disorder. And I'm kind of like one and done with my bones and stuff like that. Like, I get an injury and it's gonna heal, but like how it heals is questionable. And so I don't have an ACL in my left leg because I hose that. And so when I found out that, like, yes, they drop their tail and it takes them a little bit of adjustment, but then they continue living their best life without their tail. Like, they don't get it back. I'm like, that's the gecko for me. Like, that's the one that I most relate to as a human being. And I have like loved them ever since. We got our first Cresty. His name is Peach. When I got him, they had said that he was a female. And I had in my mind, I'm like, okay, it's Princess Peach. And it's completely wonderful. And then I remember looking like a few months later, I'm like looking closely. I'm like, I don't think that's a female, y'all. I'm pretty sure those are balls. But anyway, so he's still Princess Peach and he's awesome. But yeah, he was my first Crusty. And he ended up being like a fun tangerine morph.
Yeah.
They had said initially when I got him that he was a high red extreme harlequin. And
Okay.
as he got older, it was like this really vibrant, like orange. And I'm like,
Okay.
I guess maybe this is what they mean by high red, but it's very orange. And all of his babies tend to have like that same, like really intense color. And I know there's like some debate about what tangerine actually is and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like what most people would consider tangerine. I just know he's very orange. And unfortunately never fires up when I want him to. But
It's always nice when
his
you want to
babies
take
are
a nice
orange.
big and
Yeah.
you're ready. You're like, ah, you always have to be fired down for it. Oh no, is my screen frozen?
And I couldn't hear what you said.
I know, and my phone is buzzing, and I can been messaging my daughter because
Oh.
she is streaming phone. So I'm just gonna do a quick both kids please get off your and turn off internet. There. I'm sorry, everyone out. Can you hear me now, Holly?
I can hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry if I'm kind of. I was just saying it's always the case when you try to get a picture of your gecko that they up when you want to.
It is.
Sometimes try all tricks and they end up always being fired down. I find it frustrating myself. And then it's like when you're rushing or something and you have to do things, you'll see like they're really fired up. You're like, oh, but I don't have time.
Yeah.
It's always the case. So when did you start getting the breeding aspect? Finding
And
like
the breeding aspect was in 2022. And so I haven't been doing it for that long. But whenever I get into something, I do a deep dive on research. And so I wanted to find out absolutely everything that I possibly could when I first got into it. And I still, like, if there's a video out about a particular morph or a care talk, just the other day, there was the Gecko Pod episode about gecko diets. And so I'm like, I want to know more about that. Make sure that they're always getting the nutrition that they need to have and whatever is most beneficial for them. That is how I want to care for them.
awesome. And where are you located? So everyone knows.
I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, so the U.S. Unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah. And when like how you came up with because name.
I could not hear what you said completely. I heard you say something about name, but I don't.
We'll make it through. Sorry. I was just saying with everyone where you came up with the name. It's a fun name.
Oh, well, thank you. So I really love mythology, um, and all different kinds of mythology. I love, in particular, like Greek and Celtic and Norse. But so anyway, so Gaia being like an earth mother and earth goddess. And I really appreciate alliteration, like in most aspects of life. If something has alliteration in it, I'm all about that. Uh, but I love being as natural as possible when it comes to caring for them. Um, and it just made sense to incorporate that for me personally into my business name. So,
Okay. What is it saying something? What get her talking about back out and back in. I just don't want to leave in the thing myself out, but then I take it back in. Problem. Uh, and I mean, unless he can kind of take my out and back in, that'd be a bit of a different situation. Like so that might be a problem. Is why don't we get bringing up the gecko, start talking about your different you're working with.
Okay.
So let's pop the first one here. So
I
tell me about your gecko.
and that's Cermak. And Cermak is a pink lily. His parents are Sephiroth and Aerith. And I no longer pair them together because their babies had a lot of challenges with survivability, and I'm not sure why. But all of their lilies that they came out with, and Aerith is a female cat, and then Sephiroth is a lavender lily that I got from Tiki. And their babies end up being this really fun pink color. And they have this, it's almost like a suede like texture to them. Or at least that's how I can best describe it. I have pictures of, in particular, Cermak and then his sibling, Rockwell, before I sold her. They had this really like just like a matte finish to their scales. And this is the only pair that I have that produces that. And so I don't know what necessarily that is. I just know that it has been interesting to see, but because they have a like they're not as likely to survive as my other hatchlings, I no longer pair them together. I paired them for one season and I'm like, this is too much. Um what I noticed with Cermak in particular is his dorsal, and I'm not sure if the picture shows it as well as I wish it did. His dorsal, when he hatched, was like a very, very vibrant orange. And I thought that was tangerine. And I didn't understand how tangerine came about because Aerith is a cap and not tangerine. And then Sephiroth is a lavender lily, and there's, as far as I can tell, nothing tangerine about him either. Um, and so I did not understand why their babies looked like that. But it was something that like pretty much all of them did. Cermak the most heavily. And then as he matured, that kind of faded, but his dorsal is still like a peachy color. And he's pink. And I love his look. I love the chonky white. Like, yes, he's a lily, but he's not like super high coverage. He just has like this chonky white pattern. And I appreciate that about him.
I
So
popped in my husband here. He's my little co-host. Can I hear you, G?
I'm sorry.
I'm trying to see if I can have sense.
I don't know what's wrong with her internet.
Yeah, my internet is I brought it. So this is my husband. He does a pod, and he's gonna help out so I can pop and then get. So I do apologize. Just stop freezing because I'm not sure what's going on with it.
Okay.
Did you want me to bring to? Is on to the next picture hall, and
Okay.
Gerald knows enough about Cresties. Have questions about the gecko. Okay,
Okay.
so I'll just want to flip it over, and I will. Everyone, thank you for your. I'm sorry, I'm coming back in.
Pretty gecko though.
Oh, thank you so much. And actually, I am like kind of confused because this hi
Who did her?
so that was Cermak, and so I'm not sure about the other one that I just saw. Like maybe it was a picture because I sent multiples, so that could have been the same one. But so yeah, so that was Cermak.
So you've been doing this how long? Sorry, I'm trying to.
Oh no, it's okay. So I have been working with Cresties in a breeding aspect since 2022. Um, and I've had 2 rounds of hatchlings that I've grown out. I can't hear you. I'm so sorry. Okay, I don't see anything. I can see you now. I don't hear anything.
And you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Because that's my earpieces. Because
Oh, okay.
I'm actually at the gym, so usually I have a mic in front of me, not this way.
Uh-huh.
Um, what's your project you're most excited about and why?
And so currently I have 2 projects and they kind of cross over into the same thing. I have DAOs and phantoms. And most phantoms or most excuse me, DAOs are phantoms to a certain degree. And I say that they cross over because I don't actively try to keep DAO spots out of anything. In my opinion, if a gecko has more DAO spots, they're just cooler. And so I'm always trying to keep DAO spots in my projects. Um, but yeah, so I love DAOs and I love phantoms. I think a lot of people don't understand that there's such a variety that you can get with phantoms. It's not just that they are patternless. In my opinion, the variety of color, even though it's mostly one that you can get with a phantom, is really, really cool. Um, so yeah, I'm excited about Dals and phantoms. I do like lilies, but I feel like you can only go so far with a lily. Like when you take a lily to its like most extreme, you have a white gecko or like a mostly white gecko. Um, and I don't know, like in my opinion, you can only see that so many times where it's like, okay.
I like animals that are unique. Spots. As
I'm so sorry. I'm not sure what you said.
I said, I like uniqueness. So the more
Yeah.
spots, the more freckles, it
Yes.
adds character.
Like I agree. I think Dow spots are just like freckles. And even like when you have incredibly spotty dowels, they're usually spotty in a different way. I cannot think of any 2 dowels that I have seen that look as similar as high contrast lilies or high expression lilies. Like to me, those look way more similar than an incredibly spotty super dowel.
Like Betty's.
I'm
Okay,
sorry.
so I I joined in on my phone because it's not on the internet. So that
Okay.
way you can get it. But the one thing I'm noticing is that the feed overall is choppy. And I'm
Oh
not
no.
sure why, because it's not just, I'm wondering if it's a StreamYard issue because it's not just my feed. Gerald is choppy, you're choppy. So I just
Oh.
want to confirm if people in the chat can share and just let me know because I don't want your interview to be like this the whole time. And if that's the
Yeah.
case, it'll probably be better to reschedule because it
Okay.
seems like it's not just because even if I'm not in the room, it's choppy for you guys, and that shouldn't be the case because it
Yeah.
should only be affecting my video unless it's the platform. But I haven't noticed anyone making any comments, so I'm not sure if it's like, because I'm not on the internet. It looks good, Alyssa. Okay, and is my feed now better?
Better.
If anyone could give me a thumbs up. So, I mean, the camera is not as nice, and definitely my picture is not as nice, but I can still run things in the background and I can use this to stream myself. So it is better. Okay. So Gerald's going to bounce. He's going to leave, and thank you for holding the fort for us. And then we're going to do what we're going to do our very best. I mean, the quality of the video here is not going to be as awesome because I'm streaming off my cell phone at this point, and I'm running two different things, so that way at least we can have a conversation and you can hear me.
Okay.
But and I can still control and bring photos up on the laptop beside me, that's
Okay.
running the back end. So we were able to troubleshoot and get this sorted, which is awesome. And again, I'm terribly sorry, and we will do a round two at some point where we'll catch, because I know there's things that we're going to talk about
Okay.
that is definitely going to be um, things that are going to need a follow up for sure.
Okay.
And I'm sorry if I'm all over, it's because my camera is here on my phone and my computer is here, so I'm maybe a little bit all over the place. But we'll do our very best to get all this awesome information to everyone who's out there listening.
Okay.
So let me bring back up it's because when I got kicked out, the presentations disappeared, but they're still there. So I will bring it back up. Oh, come
And
on.
I messed up. That
There's
is not Cermak. The previous one,
oh the
that is
previous
Stitch.
one.
Yeah, that's Stitch. Um, and she is my tricolor lily from Altitude Exotics. She's fired
Gotcha.
down in that picture. And when she's fired down, her laterals are not like dark at all. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So so you want to tell, did you already talk about her while I was
And
out of
I
the room,
didn't.
or did
But there's
okay.
not a whole lot to say about her in particular, other than she does make pretty interesting babies. I
Okay.
have one that, and it's possibly my second favorite hatchling that I've produced, um, as far as a lily goes. And I call it Cold Brew. And he is completely wonderful. He's very, very low expression for a lily, but you can tell that he is one. And
Yeah.
he has a lot of like it's almost like foamy white pattern, like Stitch. And I'm excited to see if when he's an adult, because I never saw Stitch when she was a baby. And I think this is why it's actually really beneficial to get your geckos when they're smaller so you can see them mature. Because
100%.
Stitch looks as she does now, but I don't know how she looked, when she was a baby. I don't have pictures of her as a baby. And so
Mhm.
I'm interested to see if Cold Brew ends up looking like her, even though as a baby, he's more on the low expression end.
Okay. And so, like, the projects that you're doing, is there specific projects? Are you working in try, or what's your
So
ultimate goal?
my goal for lilies currently is, first of all, I want to get a lot of red spots
Okay.
on a lily. Like, it all goes back to Dell's somehow with me. And so I want to get like a very like high expression lily with red spots.
Hmm.
I think that would be like just really interesting. However, I also am currently on this mission to bring more wild type blood into my lilies. I have
Okay.
Bruni, who is an F3, and I'm excited. I have him currently this year. He's paired with Zelda and Ozma, and he has a lot of spots, which is, you know, I appreciate that.
Some people don't like spots. I don't mind them. I mean, I have spots on some geckos, and sometimes they'll pop up later. And I mean, I know some
Yeah,
people really like clean. I think there are projects where, if you want to focus on that, that's fine. But I always tell people like, so you have to sometimes look beyond a spot or two, and to
yeah.
see if it has good structure or if it has any other really positive attributes that you want to work into a project. And I know for myself, there are many cases where there's the pros outweigh the con of having a couple spots on them that I'll kind of be like, yeah, okay.
I understand. I was kind of disappointed earlier this year when I was looking at my hatchlings because I had paired like my spottiest geckos that I have. And I was looking at the hatchlings and I'm like, they didn't get the mission. Like there are no spots here. I did not understand what was going on. But as they're getting older, there are spots. And like I'm starting to see some now where it's like they have red spots and like oh this it didn't go as poorly as I originally thought. So I'm
Yeah.
pretty excited.
Yeah, I agree with Heather. I don't let a few beauty marks ruin a gecko,
Yeah, exactly.
right? Um, so I'm just gonna bring up so the next one is the one you were originally talking about. And I
Yes.
could see when they're fired down how they look very similar.
Yeah. But you can tell on the dorsal that this is definitely like a different dorsal color
Yeah.
than like what Stitch had. And that's where like I was saying when he was a hatchling, that was orange.
Okay.
And so the fact that like it now it's in my opinion it's like a peachy color. Like in the picture that I see currently, it's more of like a like butter yellow.
Mhm.
But in person that is like a peachy color. Um and so yeah, so he's very pink and I did not realize when I paired those two together that they were going to make like pink lilies. And part of that is because like Sephiroth is lavender. I now kind of understand why that happened.
Mhm.
Because of lavender being hypo with black base.
Mhm.
Um, I'm thinking that it must be something that Aerith carries that is bringing out like the red, and then hypo would be making that pink.
Yeah.
I at least that's my understanding of things. I did talk with Fringe Morphs briefly about this to try to
Okay.
get a better understanding of like the pink traits and things like that because I think that basically it's hypo with red is
With red.
what I think it is.
That's my understanding too, is that and then depending on like how much of the stacked hypo you're getting on is going to give you the variation of, the
Yeah.
darker, brighter pinks. And I would imagine that the tone of the red itself, because there's such a huge spectrum of what different quality reds that you can have. You can get brick reds, you can get, like very vibrant reds. I think, there's always a whole bunch of other things that can factor in and impact that color. And then when you're seeing the pinks, you're seeing that hypo kind of over that red color, right? And making it look
Yes.
pink. Awesome. So are you doing like a pink project? Is that what you're wanting to kind of focus on? Or was that just kind of like a bit of a
I
surprise and
it was a surprise that I made it. I did actually have a paint project in the works, or at least like in my mind, that's something that I wanted to make. Because I
okay.
have Jiraiya and he is like a salmon color ghostline male from Altitude Exotics. And when he is fired down, he is like just this really, really pretty salmon color. And I remember seeing that and thinking to myself, if I could reproduce that color, that would be something that I would want to do. But I wanted to basically have pink dowels. Like pink dowels with like the black and pink or black and red spots.
Yeah.
That to me would be ideal. I do have a pinkish phantom that has these like really cool ports. Her name is Minthy, and she
Okay.
doesn't have like black spots, but she does have the cool ports. So she's a phantom with ports. And I am excited to pair her with, I haven't decided. It's either going to be Button Bright, who is a confetti doll,
Okay.
from Kenny, Cold Blooded
Okay.
Only, and Janine. They did that project together. His parents are Mars and Samara. I may end up pairing Button Bright with Mincy, or I would pair Kismet. And I took a picture of Kismet, and I have him in here that I'm going to talk about. But he is so cool. He has a lot of different kinds of spots.
Yeah.
I think Buttons is spottier, but there are a few different traits that Kismet has that I think are very interesting. And I don't have another gecko that has that. So I
Okay.
wanted to pair him with like 4 girls this year and just see like what all passes down.
Awesome. I'll just bring up the next one. So tell me about this handsome
That's
little one.
Hades. Hades is one of my cats. He came from Tiki's Geckos. And I actually, so on the listing, it said that he was a cat with spots. And he
Okay.
was priced a little bit lower than the ones
Yeah.
without spots. And I'm like, this is ideal. I would much rather have one with spots.
Did you watch that? So I did an episode on empty backs, and we were taught I was with David from Tiki's and Quincy from Gecko Nerd, and I had brought up one of my caps and to show like how caps sometimes can look empty back and may not be empty back, and it was a cap full of spots, and David was like, oh, it has all those spots, and he made a joke. He's like, just it's no good, and I'm like,
Oh.
we was just joking on the spots, but it's so funny, because it's such a sensitive topic, I know, with some people.
Yeah.
And sometimes you do see that where the price is a little lower because it has a couple spots, because people really want their caps clean. And I'm like, I like the spots. I'm going to work it in a dowel project.
Like, I'm so confused. Like, I see these things where people are talking about how, oh, well, do you have any that don't have spots? Especially like
Yeah.
if they're asking me, I'm like, God, I hope not. Like, I would appreciate it if they all had spots. So there's that.
That's awesome. So he comes from Tiki's, and
Yeah.
what is your project that you're working in with caps?
And so I have several geckos that are, I would not say they're tangerine.
Okay.
But the orange color is very different. And or at least it feels more vibrant to me than like a lot of the geckos that have orange pattern that I have.
Okay.
And one of them in particular is Orko. And I don't have a picture of her that I sent over, but she comes from AC Reptiles, Anthony Caponetto.
Mhm.
And she is a super soft, and she has highlighted pins. And I am not a fan of pins. If they're broken, that's okay. But if they're like complete, I'm like, that's not my jam. And she has like this highlighted dashed pinning.
Okay.
And so I'm like, that's cool. She also has some spots. And the orange that is on her is like just exquisitely bright. And
Okay.
when I saw her, I'm like, she almost looks Cappy, but she's not, right? Because he has said openly that that's not something that he has worked with.
Yeah.
So my thought was, I want to see what Cap does with her.
Okay.
And hopefully it's going to be fun. Like, I'm excited.
Yeah, it's always fun to have some exciting projects when you're like, "Ooh, I wonder what's going to happen with this pairing."
Yeah, like, I don't
Especially when
know.
you have like a bit of an idea of what to expect, but you're not 100% sure, so then it's going to be like, it'll be a mystery in every egg.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you don't know what you're going to get, but it's fun to find out.
Yeah. And then now we got some dowels.
And yes, okay, so this is Kismet. And one of the things that I love so much about him is his white spots that are on his laterals. Like, if you look closely, they are not flat. They almost look like little like spikes.
Yeah.
And I love that texture. Like, I think it looks really cool. It's almost like he's like furry, but he's furry
Yeah.
on his laterals. Uh and so I think that's just awesome. But then he also has like these cluster spots. He's got red spots. He has oil spots that disappear when he's fired down.
Hmm.
And then he's got like chunky ink spots and like smaller ones. So I think he is completely wonderful. He, when I first got him, seemed like the total package, as far as like a variety of different dowel spots that you could have on a gecko. And so yeah, I'm excited to see what kinds of babies he makes.
That's awesome.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
the dowel projects are slowly creeping into me. It's not something that I had planned, but I do have one pairing that's a dowel project that I think is going to be fun. And
Yeah,
the more I see what other people are doing with dowels, it's kind of neat to see like what direction people are going and taking it into. And
I think there's so much that you can do with them because there are so many different kinds of dowel spots. And
Mhm.
it's possible that they're technically not even all dowel spots, but they're different kinds of spots, like, to be
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
And like ink spots. Like, maybe that's like a big chunky dowel spot, but I don't know.
yeah,
But I think part of the reason why I really appreciate them is because they remind me of the little florets and things like that you can get with watercolors, or
yeah,
like a gigantic ink spot. And so it feels to me very much like an art project or a painting. And like with TikTok is also from the Cold Blooded Only and Chaotic Geckodiva. It's Janine. Like, I
okay.
know her like Janine, but that's her screen name, and I can never get it right.
Okay.
But she's awesome, and I got 3 geckos from them, and they're all wonderful. And TikTok, and not like the app. I always tell people it's not TikTok like
It's
the
not
app.
TikTok the app, it's TikTok
Yeah,
the animal.
it's TikTok like from Return to Oz.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The big like robot. He was one of my favorite characters in that movie. And so I have a little gecko squad that is all Oz names.
Oh,
And
fun.
TikTok is one of them. And I love that she's like a tiger type doll with like
Yeah,
these chonky ink spots. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Like, to me, that's ridiculous. That's wonderful. Um, so I'm pairing her with Kismet to see if their babies have like, are they going to have like more ink spots? Am I going to see like the other fun ones? Like, I don't know what's going to happen.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Like some of the tiger dolls are really cool too. I know, like it depends, right? Like you have some that people get a little concerned if it looks a little like kind of muddy with the spots, but then some of
Yeah.
them are really bright, and you'll have more of like an orangey kind of tiger through them, and it's they all kind of have their place. This one's really cute. I know I really like kind of
Thank
like the little
you.
orange kind of tigers on it. It's neat, big blotch spots on them.
And this is Bruni. And Bruni is my F3. He is not fired up at all right now. Like when he's fired up, he looks like a brownie. Um
Okay,
excuse me. And that was one of the reasons why I got him. I got him primarily because he's an F3.
okay.
But secondly, it was because he does look like a brownie with like cream cheese icing. I had a gecko that I adored. He was one of my favorites that I had, Groot. And unfortunately, Groot passed. I was in the hospital with diverticulitis,
Okay.
and he had hemipenal prolapse while I
Oh
was in the hospital.
no.
And I was so
That's
bummed.
unfortunate. Yeah.
Um, and he eventually passed from things related to that.
Yeah.
And ever since he passed, I was like, I really wish I had one that looked similar to Groot. Groot was funny because he had more of like a smushed like face with like
Okay.
frog eyes, and
Oh.
I thought he was just so cute. Um, and so when I saw Bruni, I'm like, he looks like the unfrogged version of Groot. But he also had Dell spots. And
Yeah.
then he, I mean, of course, like I said, he's an F3, and I'm like, it would be so fun to put the closer to wild caught blood into
Yeah.
lilies.
Yeah.
Because they are like that's such a line bred trait. To go back and like kind of like hit rewind on that. That's
Yeah.
my goal for him. And then I also have him paired to a gecko that I got in one of the auctions with Gabby and AJ.
Okay.
Her name is Nausicaa, and I think she came from Northern. Um, she has like chonky ink spots,
Okay.
but she's not a phantom, but in my opinion, she kind of also is. She's like a bicolor,
Okay.
like with these ink spots. And even though she's not the spottiest gecko, my goal eventually is to like build up the spottiness over time, with geckos that aren't. I noticed like you can find a lot of dowels that come from like maybe they're like from Chester or Chunky Monkey, um, or the Gary from Morph Menagerie. You know what I mean? Like they kind of
Yeah.
have a similar ancestry.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if I can just take these minorly spotty dowels and eventually create one that
Yeah.
is, more spotty, it won't be related to those
Yeah.
other lines. And I think that
Yeah.
would be pretty ideal.
That's fun. And you said it was from Northern. Like I find that
Yes.
the geckos, they're chunky little things. Like they have some
Yeah.
good like, head structure, and they tend to be a little bit more a little, you know. So I know
Yes.
I have some here because I'm either in Canada, so it's easy for me to get my hands
Yeah.
on a northern gecko. But they do come up and do expos and stuff over in the States. I think they were just at Tinley, eh?
And
But
they might
yeah.
have been. I wish I could have gone to Tinley. I was at Tinley
Yeah.
in 2023, and I went for the Gecko Symposium, and that was
Okay.
like one of my favorite experiences that I've had like within this past decade. Like it was so fun.
Awesome. Have you vended at like big shows like that or
And I haven't. The biggest shows that I have vended, it felt like the Southeast Reptile Expo, um, was the biggest one that I've done. I
Okay.
did
Well,
that.
that's
I
got a lot of
did,
promotion because
yeah,
it's a new up and coming show, right?
yeah. And it was so cool. I really really enjoyed it. And I do Repticon. Um, I did Show Me for a while. There was a situation with them
Okay.
that I I have a certain like moral code
Okay.
that I go by, and I have, so one of my phantom geckos that I absolutely love, his name is Sisu, and he has this really really thick margin. And that was one of the things that, like, I saw him at one of the expos and I'm like, oh my God, like he's a really, really gorgeous phantom. And I
Hmm.
did not understand the pricing system that this
Okay.
vendor had. I'm like, this is it. I either felt that they did not understand the morph at all,
Hmm.
or they were severely undercutting everybody.
Oh
And
no.
I'm like, it was questionable. And so when I spoke to him, he's like, initially, he's like, well, they're not mine. And I'm like, okay, are you like undercutting your friend that did breed them? Like,
Oh
what's going
no.
on here? And he then did not, he told me he didn't really know how to take care of Cresties, like geckos aren't his thing. And I'm like, but you're selling them like that. It
Yeah,
seems
that's
sketchy.
unfortunate.
And so when I went ahead and I got him, I was looking and, putting them in their enclosure. I got Sisu and then I also got Toad. Unfortunately, Toad passed. And I tried my very best. It
Hmm.
just it didn't work out. But Sisu had this maggot infested wound.
Oh no.
And I'm like, how can you be selling this gecko?
Yeah.
When it's like that. And I sent the vet bill, a copy of that to Show Me. I sent my vet's notes, where it was very, very evident that this had been going on for a while.
Mm.
And how that was overlooked is just like beyond me. I don't know how someone can overlook that.
Yeah.
And so the response that I got was very lackluster.
Mm.
And that I have a problem with that kind of response, because had I not adopted Sisu, that gecko, especially for the price that he had them listed at,
Hmm.
probably would have gone to somebody that was taking in him as a pet. And I
Yeah.
don't think it may be a first time pet. And I don't
Yeah.
think anybody that is going to an expo getting a pet, um, maybe your first reptile, I don't think they're
Hmm.
prepared to spend over $300 on a vet bill.
Well,
Um,
you're setting them up for failure in that situation as a new pet
yes.
owner, right?
And
Yeah.
like I
The sorry, go ahead.
oh no, I'm just saying it really was just heartbreaking to see him in that situation. I mean, he was on antibiotics for 2 weeks. He was on pain medication, and I had a cream that I was given to put on him. He had 3 stitches. Imagine like this
Oh
small gecko.
wow.
He was small, having three
Wow.
stitches, and it was like it was a lot.
Yeah, like so I don't know how it is like 'cause we haven't really been to any of the expos in the States. I know for the ones in Canada, like the ones in like in Ottawa and the Toronto area, the organizer has a vet on staff basically that's hired for the pet expo and is responsible for going around and checking all the vendor booths before it opens and also does walkarounds during the expo, right? Just to make sure that
Yeah.
no one's added new stuff to the table that, wouldn't pass a vet check, right? Like that the animals are healthy. And and then there are times where people are being told to take animals down, and the whole thing is to protect the customer and to protect and for animal welfare at the end of the day, and to make sure that that people are bringing healthy animals. I did hear there was an interview that Bob Vu had done, and I believe they did the same thing at the Southeast Reptile Expo, right? Like they also had, he had mentioned that they had a vet there.
Yes.
So it's not, I don't know how many other expos do that because I don't have the experience of vending in the States. So how I'm sure it varies from different organizers and different like show series and stuff, what they do. But it's definitely a value added, I think, for organizers who run shows to have something like that.
I love it when organizations do that. And like there are some that will say that they do, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things that Show Me said was like, well, we have a vet there. And it's like a vet's not going to miss that. Like if a vet looks
Yeah.
at that gecko, it it's obvious enough they're not going to miss that. And
Yeah.
Toad, the one that I got that passed, he had like several layers of stuck shed.
Oh no.
And I'm like, I just can't see a vet having gone through that table
Yeah.
and noticed, like, or not noticed, excuse me,
Yeah.
um what was going on there. And between that and then the pricing system, that to me did not feel right. Southeast did have a vet, and the vet did go through and do health checks. The
Mhm.
first Southeast Expo that happened, there was a vet from City Vet,
Okay.
and I don't know if that was a local vet here in Atlanta, or if it was someone that was regional, but she was going through and wanting to get information for like her clients that were coming in with new reptiles. And I
Okay.
was completely honored. Like she ended up interviewing me on like a video about like Cresty care and stuff like that. She just said that she appreciated how, and so when I go and I do shows, I like to have these small like vertical enclosures for the juveniles and hatchlings. And
Okay.
I do that so that it reduces their stress, because I know the events are stressful for them
Mhm.
regardless. It's not like you're going to take them and all of a sudden like they're going to be okay. Like it's a
Yeah. Oh,
stressful
this is
thing
a
for them.
great time. Yeah.
It's a stressful thing for them to go to those shows. And
Yeah.
so I want to make sure that while they're like with me there, I'm doing the best that I can to give them the most like positive experience possible.
Yeah.
Um, and so she appreciated how I had them displayed. It does make it a little bit more challenging for people who are looking at my display to see the geckos first thing, right?
Yeah.
Because they may be hiding under like a leaf, or maybe they're not instantly visible,
Mhm.
but I at least know that at the end of the day, they're having an easier experience
Yeah.
than they would if they were in like a deli cup that is either bare or has like what, a liner or like a paper towel. Like that to
Yeah.
me is not an ideal experience for them.
Oh yeah, I use the like the displays, and they have
Yeah.
I put cocoa in it, like the cocoa chip at the bottom, so they have a little bit more humidity.
Yeah,
They
that's
have
so
like a
nice.
little like bridge thing that they can come up and like perch on, and then they have a
Oh,
little water dish because they will drink. Like I see
yes,
mine
they
drink the
will.
whole time at the expo. They'll go and drink
Yep.
out of the water dish, but it does happen where some of them are just a little bit more uncomfortable with the situation. You can tell because they'll go and they'll bury themselves under the cocoa.
Yep.
And then they're hiding. They're like, "Oh, can I see that one?" Because they can see part of it, and they're like, "Oh, I really like that one. I want to see it." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay. I'll just kind of move the cocoa for you so you can see
Right?
the gecko." But it is funny because they all have their own little personalities, and some of them
They
are there.
do.
They're like, they're like upside down, showing their belly. They're like, hey, and they're a little bit more, like in your face. They don't care. And then you have the other ones that will like bury themselves. And
Yeah.
but at least you give them opportunities to be able to do what they need to do to feel more comfortable, and
Yeah.
because it is a stressful situation for them for sure. Um, we've hit the hour mark, but we've had technical
Okay.
difficulties, so we're not gonna cut you off too short because I want to talk about some of the fun art stuff
Oh, okay.
that we talked about before, and I want to bring it up and give you an opportunity to kind of. And for some reason, it is bringing up a gecko, and I'm not sure why it's doing that. So
I, so that
oh,
what I see right now is the tin for my oracle deck.
there we go. Okay, yeah. For some reason, it was showing me the gecko, but now it's
Oh,
there.
okay.
We have the right picture. We're
Um,
good. So you want to talk about your oracle deck?
yeah. So this is an oracle deck that I made, specifically celebrating crested geckos. And I had initially made my oracle deck just because I wanted it to exist. I collect oracle decks, tarot decks, and I've been doing tarot art professionally since 2017. Um, and when I went to go look for a gecko deck, I could not find one. And so I thought, well, I'll make one, and it'll be a fun way to learn how to use Procreate. I do other art shows, right? I'm a graphic designer for like my day job, and I also vend at like art festivals. I'm a vendor at Dragon Con, which is like a pop culture convention here in Atlanta. And I thought I can't have like traditional paintings in my booth because people
Yeah,
would have a lot of questions. Like if I had 32 gecko paintings in there, they'd be like, what is going on? And so I thought that if I could do it digitally, it would make more sense. And I wouldn't have like these traditional paintings everywhere. Plus, there's a material cost with watercolor that can vary per painting. You can only mess up so many times with a watercolor painting before that is trash and you have to
yeah,
start over. So, Procreate is super forgiving because it's digital. And so I spent quite a bit of time learning how to use the program, and I wanted to get it as close to like a watercolor feel as I possibly could because that is what I use traditionally, and I definitely still wanted it like for people to see it and know that that was my art. Um, and a lot of people are like, okay, so what is the deal with crested geckos, and like why would you do that? And my response is always that they are completely magical. I think they look like little fairy dragons. And going back to the fact that they survive very well without their tail. That to me is like just one of their most fantastic traits. I really, really love and appreciate that about them. Um, I also love that they have a lot of different like social behaviors. I have one female in particular, if she is hanging out with other females, she takes on the role of a male and she will like try to sing to the other girls and do like the entire mounting thing, but
hmm,
obviously like that's a female and she actually has babies now. So I'm like it's
can
so
I don't want to
fun.
interrupt you, but I want to ask you, can you see me on the screen?
Yes.
Okay, because it kicked me out on my phone. It just did a little thing. So like I could see myself on the computer, but on the
Uh-huh.
actual one I'm using, I don't see myself. I'm like, I hope she's not alone on the screen right now. So I
And
just want to make sure that I'm there.
I might have been, but I kept talking. So
Yeah, no, that's good. As long as you can see me, you don't feel like you're talking by yourself.
okay.
So, yeah, no, like the art is so cool. Like I
Thank
love the
you.
like the watercolor look to it, and so this was the first deck you did, right? And
Yes.
you're wanting to, like, you want to share like some upcoming stuff
Oh,
that you're going to be doing. And
yes. So it was a limited edition, and I got distracted. Like sometimes I'll just go off on tangents. Uh,
that's fine.
um, so that was my first Oracle deck that I made. Um, and I only made 100 of them because I didn't know how it was gonna go. Um, if people would want to buy it, like I didn't know. And so I no longer have Oracle decks available; those are sold out. But I want to do a second edition of that deck. And I am currently making like the zodiac pieces. I'm going to include the 12 zodiacs in the second edition. And I also am possibly going to be doing like birthstone cards for the second edition. And
Cool.
then talk about like the properties of the gems. I'm also making a Sticky Toes tarot deck, and that is mostly finished, but it incorporates other species in addition to crested geckos. For like the minor arcana, cresties are pentacles, tokes are swords, gargoyles are cups, and then what is left here? Wands. Those are leopard geckos.
Okay.
And then the major arcana, the lychee piece, that was the hermit card for the deck. And it's like, I don't know, I'm excited. I think geckos are very appropriate for a tarot deck, and hopefully people will like it.
That's awesome.
Thank
Misfit
you.
said, where can we get them? And so
Oh,
the first edition, you're said those are sold out, right? You don't
yes.
have any more of those, but
I don't.
sorry, go. But you're planning, I think, having the second edition released, right?
Yes. And that should be available over Labor Day weekend.
Okay.
I had initially planned on releasing the tarot deck Labor Day weekend, but I had some things happen earlier this year or last year in 2024 that have put me a little bit behind on
Okay.
that deadline. But hopefully by Christmas, I should have the tarot deck as well. And when I do have that available, I put my art on Palm Street
Okay.
on that app, and then I'll also have like a link for it just on my Instagram in general. And I also am trying to more heavily use Blue Sky now, because I don't appreciate what Meta has done to artists,
Yeah.
especially in the US. I think they actually give people more rights in the UK than they do in the US. But initially, they were like, we're going to give artists the ability to opt out of having their work used for generative AI purposes.
Okay.
And artists filled out this form, and they're like, we're opting out of this. And the message that I got back was, we can't let you opt out of this because you haven't proven where we have used your work.
Mm.
And I'm like, that's not okay, because they have that data.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is their entire thing. They know when they use a artist's work. I mean, that there's no way that they don't know that.
Yeah.
And they would not be giving artists the ability to opt out if they didn't know there was a chance that they would be using somebody's work.
Yeah.
And so I try my best to be very picky and selective about what I share on Meta. And I am much more willing to share that like on Palm Street, and then also on Blue Sky.
Okay.
I will advocate for artists not having their work scraped all day long, because that's not okay. Consent
Yeah.
is
No, for sure.
mandatory, and nobody is consenting to that, and nobody is being compensated. Like if
Yeah.
someone is going to make multi-million dollars on this type of product, artists should be compensated, because without artists, without traditional artists, that wouldn't exist.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's definitely not like this new age with AI and stuff. It's not an easy
Yeah.
landscape for artists to be in. It made a complete, extra challenge for people. And you definitely raised some good points. Like I'm not an artist myself, so I mean I did music way back when, like the song at the beginning, was from my band,
Yeah,
like
that counts.
and musicians are struggling too, in a
Yes.
lot of cases because there's so many. I mean, you can now go and put in like um different topics and themes and words you want to use, and AI will now go and create a whole song, and you can actually put the genre of music you want, and a lot of specifications, and this thing will just completely generate a full song for you, exactly kind of how you want it. And it's crazy to me to see that, having remembering the experience of sitting there, in my friend's basement with music and like musical instruments, and taking so long to like actually write and create a song. And I would imagine like for even for like designing and art and graphic design, or even just like painting and all any kind of art gets impacted with all these new like technologies and stuff, right?
It's crazy. And what drives me nuts about like gecko
Yeah.
AI art is you look at the flippin' geckos that people are making with AI, they have hair. It's like,
They're
what?
weird, some of them,
Like,
yeah.
Cresties, they don't have hair, y'all. Like, they have like little spiky crests. And then you'll see
Yeah.
the tails, they're leopard gecko tails.
Or they're
And
like a weird
yeah,
spiral kind of thing that goes on.
like AI doesn't know what it's doing. Like, it
Yeah.
doesn't know what a crested gecko is. Like, it's ridiculous.
My husband's saying it because he was playing around with an app. He says 4 songs in 30 seconds. Like you just like put it in and it gives you like 4 options. It's crazy. Yeah, like I've tried for fun. Like I went in to see, like we played around with it for AI
Yeah,
to like put like themes with the ball python stuff comes out a little bit more accurate. I mean the gecko ones, the ones I've been generating anyways, just for fun, have been like just completely bonkers. Like they're just so way off base of what it should look like. And like I always say, like there's the importance of supporting, your local artists or any
yes,
artist that you can find. Like I know for my stuff, all the Gecko Diva like characters, they've all been designed like sketched by hand, and I see the sketches by hand because they send them to me, and it's like,
yeah.
oh, like, and then we work back and forth on making edits before she puts it into the program system to like put the color and all that in it, right? The Coffee and Cresties logo, I just did that myself in Canva. Like that's not an AI thing. That
That's
was
so
me just
cool.
that was just me like messing around with like different
Yeah.
fonts and colors and shadings, and oh, we'll put a coffee cup and so on. The After Dark one is fun because that one's AI, because I basically took something and mixed it up. So that was me kind of having my hand out like playing around with it. Because it is fun to kind of play with, but at the same time, like if I'm going to be doing merch and I'm going to be
Yeah.
doing things that I'm selling to other people, I feel like it should be original. It should be things that are like, like you're commissioning an artist to do it, or it's things that you've actually taken the time to like design yourself. That's my opinion, and I'm not by any means trying to bash anyone who use AI. There's a lot of people out there that have, fun little logos and stuff that they do use. Um, Everyone is entitled to what they feel is right for their business, right? And I know that even getting art can be costly sometimes as well. So everyone has their own budget, and what they can invest in that. Um, but it's just a reminder to people not to forget about the artists and get all kind of, I guess caught up in the AI. And my husband is making a joke. We did one, and sometimes the snakes get arms. No,
I
awesome. So you're gonna have a deck coming out soon, which of
Yeah.
course you're gonna be posting on social media and sharing that with everybody. Where can everyone follow you and find you, and you like have a website, or you like what social media are you on?
So I am Geckos of Gaia on Palm Street. I am Geckos of Gaia on Instagram.
Okay.
And then I believe it's just Holly Morningstar on Blue Sky. So
Awesome. And the Palm Street, I saw you had posted you do art on Palm Street. Do you do gecko cells as well, or
yes,
okay?
I have not had any geckos recently that I have uploaded on there
Okay.
because a lot of the ones that I have, I am still growing out because some of the pairings that I did were like basically a curiosity
Okay.
pairings,
Yeah.
and I am really enjoying how they're changing. And even though it's like, and I think that people always intend to send pictures, especially like if someone asks, like, hey, can you send me pictures as they're growing up? It's so
Yeah.
hard to remember to do that.
Yeah.
And so instead of selling them when they're still quite small, there's a lot that I'm holding back just to see for my own purposes for what I might pair in the future, what these look like. And so then we'll see. But I'll have some that I'm posting up on Palm Street probably after Repticon.
Okay.
And that's coming up in April.
Okay. So you'll be vending at Repticon as well.
Yeah.
Awesome. Um, Palm Street's new to me. Like I only kind of came across this when they started having people selling geckos.
Uh-huh.
And being Canadian, it's a little difficult, like, whether or not that the people are going to sell and send to the States or to Canada from the States. So like, and the plants, like I love watching them,
Yeah.
but like that realistically doesn't make sense for me. Like to bring a plant over to Canada, it's kind of a bit of a process. But
Yeah.
when I saw that you posted art, I had no idea. Like I knew they did gems and stones and I knew they did plants, but I'm like, that's really cool that they do art. I'm like, I can buy art on Palm Street and I can have that shipped to Canada. So you
Yeah.
probably will see me in your next Palm Street because
Oh, thank
definitely
you.
the art thing is a lot of fun. And that's something I can definitely buy. And then my husband's probably there listening, like, no, no more reasons to buy things. She shops enough. And Gecko Nerds joining us. Good morning. Yeah, so I want to thank you so much for hopping on again. I truly apologize for some of our technical difficulties today.
It happens.
But it was definitely a pleasure to speak with you today and to talk about your projects and the cool like art
Thank
and all the stuff that
you.
you're doing. And again, everyone, I do have the links in the info on the YouTube description, so your links for your socials are there. But definitely go and check out Holly's socials and her page. Do you have a Palm Street planned in the future?
And
For
I should be doing a purge
okay,
um within like the next week.
okay,
And then I also want to do, and I haven't figured out exactly like the specifics for what I want to do with it, but I want to do like a social painting live
okay.
where I'm going to upload like coloring pages and stuff that people can download and color for free,
Oh,
and
fun.
like we can all just like get together and like chat about geckos and art. And then I'll have something that I'm working on traditionally as well during that time,
Oh,
where
cool.
it's not like focused on sales. I like the community aspect of the reptile community, and I want to be able to get together with people in that fashion as well,
Yeah,
and just like talk about things.
that's fun. So like a paint night, but a
Yeah.
virtual paint night. When you have the date for that all planned, send it to me and we'll talk about it on our tea time.
Yay, that's so
Because
cool.
that's a lot of fun. I haven't been to a paint night yet. I've been planning on doing one because there's some that happen locally. And I've always been kind of curious to check one out. But a virtual paint night sounds fun too.
Awesome.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
I'm gonna put you backstage, and I'll see you in a few minutes, and we're gonna close off the show.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate you.
Thanks. And thank you everyone for watching. I'm on my little phone here, and for some reason my screen doesn't update here, so I have two things going on. But I'm very happy that I'm technologically inclined, that I was able to kind of troubleshoot this. That's the one thing about being live, is that you kind of have to figure things out on the fly. And I definitely appreciate my husband Gerald. He had my back to pop in there and give me an opportunity to kind of sort things out and reset the internet real quick. But again, thank you very much for joining. I will be back again next Sunday. We're gonna have another show, another live at 9. And I hope everyone has an awesome rest of your Sunday and have a really good weekend. And on that note, I have two things going on, so I'm trying to figure out where my stuff is, and I will leave you on that. And I hope, if you have cold weather, I hope it gets warmer and that everyone's having a great start to your breeding season. And I will see you next week. One last thing I wanted to say is I will post stories. If you have any exciting things you want to share, any events coming up, anything you want me to share in the tea time, definitely send me a DM, and I'm more than happy to share it next Sunday. So have a great week, and thanks for joining. And for those catching the replay, I appreciate each and every one of you. And I'll talk to you next time. See ya.
Shake your dreams from your hair. I'm already there, right beside you.